Did I scare you? Good. We're finishing up our lesson today on the fall of the house of Usher with tone. As we talked about tone yesterday, that is how an author expresses his attitude through his writing. Now, that can be something similar to how people do a haunted house or a fun house. Now, they might have some music playing, whether it be creepy or anything else. They might have some characters out there, they might paint it a certain way, have some animated voices that set the mood so that when you're waiting in line, you feel a certain way. Well, a writer can only do that through words, so imagine the challenge. All right, so in this case, Edgar Allan Poe is in an era called the Gothic era, right? And that is a gloomy period. So this is a horror story. You don't have to be too scared because it's not like horror movies today, which are really a lot scary, but in this period of time, it is a horror story. So it is sad, it is dark, and it's focused on darkness versus light. That is what the Gothic era was focused on. So make no mistake about it, this story does start with some bleak images, right? We have these trees and a vacant house, and then we have this narrator. We don't know who he is. We have Roderick, who he's not like really a positive person. He's already foreshadowing him and his sister's death. I mean, how about that for a positive attitude? He's already thinking about how they're gonna die. So that doesn't give us too good of an idea of a really great future for them, right? So they're approaching this house that's pretty run down, and he's thinking about their death. So then we have the house itself, right, that we talked about. We have this fungi that is encroaching upon the house, and it's this house of antiquity that's being torn apart by the environment, right? The environment is pretty much trying to tear it down. So there's this tension going on. There's also tension between Roderick and his sister, who Roderick is an intellectual. He's always in his head, right? He's analyzing, always thinking, where his sister is consumed with her illness, and that's where she is largely focused on, and there's that tension between them. So I want to bring up on my computer screen here that I'm going to read to you this quote that it starts right from the beginning. He starts with, let me get it here. With the first glimpse of the building, a sense of insufferable gloom pervaded my spirit. So in a sense of insufferable gloom paints a picture of something dark and depressed right from the beginning, right? So that is, again, something right from the start is setting a tone. And we can also look at the raven in the story. The raven that's squawking about, right? Nevermore, nevermore. And that character is like this all-seeing eye. Have you ever had somebody standing behind you watching what you're doing and it's kind of creepy? It's kind of like, somewhat like what the raven is. So that's another picture of tone in the story. So that's what we're looking at here, are different aspects within the story that the author uses to create creepy darkness, right? colors like black, maybe red for blood, this raven, fungus creeping up on the project. Okay, kids, we are going to focus on our projects, which I'm really excited about, and you are going to be too, I promise. So group 1, you are largely going to be focused on movie posters, so there's another option with that. Group 2, you're going to be focused largely on movie trailers, and group 3, you're going to be focused largely on movie scenes all around the house of Usher, okay? It's going to be cool, trust me. So, group 1, you're going to be creating a movie poster, and I'm going to throw up a movie poster here. We can all look at it and pay attention to it because it's going to help you each with your project as we talk about this. So as you look at this movie poster, you see some things of tone going on. So we have this kind of archaic old lettering that tells us, okay, this is a movie, a story about something old, like in olden times, right? So that's an element of tone, and even in the lettering and the style of font that they use. Also the color red, and the dripping of the letters is blood. It's like blood, so that's kind of the horror element, okay? That gives us the creeps. And then we have the spooky haunted house kind of element of a house in disrepair with the broken fence if you look really close. We have some lights on, but not all the lights are on, so we don't know what's going on there. We have dark and gloomy skies and haunted and bare trees. So there's about 5 or so elements right there just in this movie poster alone. So what group 1 is going to do is you are going to create a movie poster and then a 3-paragraph essay on the elements of tone in that poster and how they affect the story, okay? All right, so if you want to do something else instead of the movie poster, I will allow you to create a real estate ad for the House of Usher. And you would be creating that real estate ad for a creepy investor, which means they want something haunted and spooky like that house. So you want to be sure, though, when you create it, that you use aspects of tone. You're going to need at least 10 good aspects of selling points that you're going to want to use. Now, I'm going to send you guys the rubric and all this information via email, so don't worry about memorizing it. I'm just kind of going over it with you so you get an idea. But for the real estate one, you're also going to need to do stuff like creating your own real estate company name, a point of contact, an address, stuff like that too, okay? So for group 2, you're going to be focused largely on the movie trailer. So think of movie trailers like movies we all know, like Star Wars or other spooky movies. Those voices in those trailers, they get us excited. They use words that are geared towards the movie. Or if it's a romantic movie or a funny movie, they help us to get ready and in the mood for whatever type of movie it is, right? They make us laugh or get emotional, whatever it is. And that's what you're going to need to do and pull out from the story for this trailer. So you have a couple options in creating this trailer, okay? The first one is you can record a narration of your voice and then create a paragraph describing the 5 elements of tone. And that means, in your verbal choice of words that you use in creating this narration, you're going to pick 5 elements out of that story that are creepy, okay, or dreary, and why you pick those, okay? That's going to be in your paragraph. The other option that you can do is actually kind of 2 options you can do with it. You can create an actual video movie trailer if you want. That's pretty cool. Just like one in the movies. You just create one. Okay, and you can use our software program, which is really easy to upload your video from. Okay, you want it to be at least a minute or two, not too short. I don't want it shorter than that. That means you haven't really given it much thought. Okay. You can also, if you don't want to do a video, you can do what's called a storyboard. You can use K12's high-tech storyboard, or it might be K12's high-tech paper storyboard. We're not sure what K12 uses, so just in case it's their paper high-tech storyboard. Storyboards are done in squares, and you just break them down scene by scene like I did here. And I started with the drive-in with the horse and buggy and the dark gloomy skies and the tree and the horse, and then here's the house of Usher in disrepair, some bats and gloomy sky again and brittle tree, and then here's the raven saying nevermore. These would be 3 separate scenes, and then you may have words in your narration, and you could put those on top or on the bottom, wherever would fit. But if there's words being said, you would put them in the scenes that they're being said, okay? And you would just fill up this storyboard. That's what they do in Hollywood too, okay? So group 2, you would have the option of doing that. You could do the recorded version with your voice and a paragraph, or you could do a video trailer or a storyboard, okay? Now next, group 3, you are doing a scene, okay? There's an option for acting out a scene on a video, okay? And again, just like with group 2, you don't want it to be too short, so you don't want to do the raven shouting nevermore and then cutting it off and that's it. We want at least a minute or two, okay? And you want to make sure that your head doesn't get cut off or you're over to the side, and you want to make sure you're projecting your voice, okay? And we want to get at least two to three elements of tone in that video. So you might want to make sure it's somewhat dark or use dark clothing. You might want to create some props that are in the story, or be one of the characters. You can use some other people in the video if you want to play some of the characters. But you want to show some of the tone, at least 2 to 3 elements in that video, okay? Now, if you don't want to do a video and you're not an actor or don't feel confident enough to do that, you have another option, don't worry. You can create construction pieces. You can create kind of props out of paper or whatever you want to use. And I'm going to throw up here some not three, but several examples of projects that are done out of paper. You can use any kind of material you want. And these are just some examples of projects you can do that show tone in the house of Usher. Now with each project that you do, I don't want you to feel like through these examples that you have to do some really stellar Picasso piece or something like that. I want you to do your best, but I don't want you to be intimidated by that. Now each piece needs to have 2 to 3 sentences of how it affects tone in the story, okay? So those are our options for each group. Now, if there's a particular option in another group and you're in one group and you want to do another one, please talk to me. We can talk about that, or if you have some idea and it ends up fitting and I think it works, we can talk about it. But otherwise, I think these really work for each of you and the groups you're in. And I think they're pretty cool. I like the idea of you guys creating a poster, a trailer, and then some of you acting stuff out, and then having these other options just in case something doesn't fit for you in the medium that it's in, okay? All right, talk to you soon. Bye.